Hi, I'm Dawn Montefusco, life coach for writers and creatives, and this is Write Your True Story, how to use your story to grow your business, inspire millions, and leave a legacy. And today, we have one of my favorite guests and people, Kevin Knebl. Kevin Knebl is an international speaker, author, trainer, and executive coach. He's an in-demand leading authority on social selling, relationship marketing, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Kevin is the co-author of The Social Media Sales Revolution, the new rules for finding customers, building relationships, and closing more sales through online networking. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Dawn, it's wonderful to be here. You are in one of the coolest places on the planet, Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. I know, it stole me away from New York, and I never went back. Much to my chagrin, of my mother's chagrin, I should say. Yeah. All right, so how about you tell us a little about what you do and any new projects that you're working on right now before we get totally started.
Well, thank you for asking. I'm kindly asked to speak in about 1 to 2 cities per week all around the world. So on any particular day, I could be in Sydney, Australia, or London, or Portland. I was actually in Manzanita, Oregon a month ago. I spoke in Portland twice in the last 60 days. So I run around a lot and I speak to a lot of people about, they typically ask me to talk about increasing sales, but it's really not about sales. Everything's about creating, nurturing, and deepening relationships. Because if a person understands sincerely and authentically how to create, nurture, and deepen relationships, sales is a piece of cake, because it's not about being slick, salesy, awkward, creepy, press hard 3 copies, bottom one's yours, price goes up on Monday, commission breath. So I run around a lot. I do a lot of presentations, anywhere from an hour to 2 days in length. Projects I'm working on. I think I'm ready for my next book. I think I'm ready to write my next book.
Excellent.
Yeah. And other than that, I'm doing a lot of skiing. I love to ski. I just came back from a 5-day guys ski trip to Vermont with 10 maniacs. No wives, no women, just 10 guys skiing and drinking. So it was great.
Right there. That's a story right there.
Yeah, I could write a book on that one.
So let's jump right in. Let's go and talk about vulnerability and authenticity. And I'm sure there's like lots of questions around this in terms of the fine line of public speaking. But in terms of people connecting with their tribe, by using their personal story. And when I say write your true story, it could be a book, it could be an essay, it could be on your website, it could be that you're preparing your speech. But how does authentic and vulnerable storytelling attract your right tribe?
What a great question. As I'm going into my answer to that, I'll point out one thing that's authentic is that I'm sitting here in a baseball hat. Any day that I'm not on a stage, the days that I'm on stage, I'm usually in a suit and tie. Today, I'm not on stage. I'm in my home office in Colorado. So I'm just being authentic with you and with your viewers that this is what I look like when I'm not on a stage somewhere. This is kind of what I'm doing. So I think part of the first thing my mind goes to with your question is we kind of know when people are bullshitting us.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Most of us have a pretty good BS detector. And I think it's interesting that I find deep joy and humor in paradoxes and irony. So I think it's interesting that people try so hard to do certain things when in reality, if they just relaxed and were comfortable with who they are, actually accomplishing what it is they're looking to accomplish would happen much, much more quickly. So a lot of the time that I'm working with my private coaching clients, it's not about learning things, it's about unlearning things to remove the awareness of love's presence. So when we show up sincere and authentic and heart-centered, I think that there's just a natural attraction that people have, and I think that can create a tribe or a community, as the words you're using. I never had any evil genius plot to do that. I'm not that smart. I'm a couple fresh short of a Happy Meal. So when I first started, getting into speaking and writing and stuff like that, I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to lay it out there. raw, sincere, authentic. And if people don't like it, then I guess that's the universe's way of letting me know those are not the people I'm supposed to work with.
Awesome.
But if people do like it, then the right people will show up. And I can tell you 10 years later, that is absolutely what has happened in my life. I do any marketing or advertising whatsoever. My business is 99% inbound. But it's not because I got some clever, slick marketing thing. It's just because I show up real and authentic. Does that kind of answer what you're asking?
What I'm hearing also is that it kind of rolls into the next question I had, which was the building trust. Like when we know someone isn't bullshitting us, when a person's being real and we can feel it, right? We can feel that level. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden we actually trust them. There's a deeper trust that goes out. I mean, I've sent out some email blasts in the last few months and I just went for it. I went for what was happening in my life. And it was amazing, the responses I've gotten. And so whenever I feel a little bit, it's funny, it's like the opposite is true, right? Whenever you feel a little bit out of it, or you're scared, or you want to present a piece of work or something, as opposed to thinking about how to present it, just talk about what's going on, you know?
That's exactly
that trust.
That ties into what I was just saying about the paradox and the irony.
Yeah.
The paradox is that we overthink it so much. But if we just are sincere and authentic and say, you know what, I'm putting my heart out there, mm-hmm. and the right people, it will resonate with the right people.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you ever felt a little bit, has there been a story, because this is a good question, I like this question. Has there ever been a story or something that you were just a little bit scared to put out there? You're just like, I'm not sure about that one. And it worked out anyway.
Yeah. The answer to that is yes. One of the things I often tell people is if people know where your heart is, if people know that your heart's in the right place, you have a very long leash.
Oh, that's
right.
Cool. Yeah.
So when I'm on stage, at the beginning of pretty much all of my presentations, I take a minute or two and I tell the audience, okay, a couple ground rules. If I say anything today that in any way even remotely offends you, that was not my intention.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was not my intention. If I say anything where I get a little bit worked up and I get a little passionate, I'm not just understand I have deep belief and passion about what I do, and sometimes that may come across as a little bit bold. So I say a couple things like that, and then to your question, I just let it rip. I mean, I've literally said to people many times, I can't believe I didn't get pulled off the stage for some of the things I've said. But I've had so many, I've even had Fortune 50 CEOs come up to me afterwards and go, I can't believe you said what you said. Not because it was shocking, but because it was true.
Wow.
And most people won't speak their truth. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes. There have been times when just as it's about to come out of my mouth and I'm thinking, oh God, am I going too far on this one? Yes. But if they know where my heart's at, they cut me some slack.
Yes. I love that you said it's not so much what you said, but the fact that it was true.
Yeah.
And the next one, which kind of you already answered that question, but I do want to make it specific here.
Yes.
Would you be where you were today if you decided not to tell your true stories?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I'm not saying everybody should do this. I live a very transparent life. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I'm running around naked, but I do. You know what I often tell people is, to whatever degree you're comfortable, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. be as transparent as you possibly can, whether it's online, offline, writing, video, Facebook, whatever it is. To whatever degree you're comfortable, it will serve you very, very, very well mm-hmm. to be transparent, because we're surrounded by so much BS mm-hmm. that by the way, the bar is set so low mm-hmm. that when you actually show up sincere and authentic and heart-centered, it is like the biggest breath of fresh air you could ever imagine.
Totally.
And there's people out there that are infinitely smarter than me. I never had any intention to build a tribe or a community, but I have thousands and tens of thousands of people that follow me daily on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest, or my YouTube channel or my newsletter. But I'm not out there self-promoting. I'm just kind of living a very transparent life, and people enjoy it. And I throw in a lot of humor, and I throw in, but it's a breath of fresh air. So yeah, I think that the easiest way, and actually the most natural way, to create a community would be just to show up sincere and authentic as to who you are.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. You know, a lot of people come to me with stories where they've overcome a major struggle or a major hardship, and I kind of map it to your own personal hero's journey, right? The call to action, the refusal of the call, then the all hope is lost, and then the bounce back. I'm sure as a speaker of your, caliber, you've heard a lot of these very genuine and authentic stories where people have overcome a hardship or struggle, which I think for some people, that's a vulnerability that they're working through because they want to tell it. They know they'll make a difference in thousands of people's lives, millions. But then they think, well, why would anybody be interested in my struggle? Yeah. In your opinion, because you've had this vast knowledge, you really do, is why do you think people are so attracted to stories of hardships overcome or struggles that have been overcome?
Because we all deal with it.
Yeah.
What could be more real?
Yeah.
Right? One of the interesting things about the social media world over the last 10, 15 years is that it's very common to see people try to portray themselves as having it all together. Mm-hmm. Right? That's effing exhausting. That's exhausting. And again, there's the paradox. There's the irony. They're trying to make their life look absolutely, they're editing their life for public consumption.
Yes.
Trying to look like they have all of their stuff together. When in reality, if they just showed up and shared what was going on to whatever level they're comfortable, I'm not saying, give away the store or do something stupid, but if they would just show up sincere and authentic, and anybody that tells you that they're not dealing with stuff, they're either lying to you or they're delusional.
Yes.
Or both. Or, I think that we're attracted to it because it's real. Mm-hmm. It's just real. Everybody's got challenges, right? So when we're not afraid to share something that we've overcome and how that's had an impact on us, without even trying, by extension, it will have an impact on others.
Excellent. Exactly.
It's human nature, right? It's not, hey, Dawn, let me tell you about this really crappy thing that happened in my life so that I can help you. It's actually, Dawn, let me just tell you about this really crappy thing that happened in my life and how it kind of affected me. And unless you're an idiot, which you're not, you'll figure out how to translate that into your world.
Totally.
That makes sense?
I feel like people learn through example.
Of course.
So there's the story, there's that detailed story about you specifically, and then there's the connection to the human condition, to the human experience. And when we get the irony, right? Don't you think irony is that the more private we get, as comfortable as we want to get, right? But the more we get into the nitty gritty of what happened, the more we connect to the bigger picture of what might be happening to other people in a different way.
Yeah. And I think it's also a good idea to sometimes kind of jump out of your own skin as much as you can and look at your life as an objective third party. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, you'll actually see the story. You're not necessarily acting in the movie anymore. You're watching the movie.
Yes.
And it takes a little bit of a different perspective, and it might actually reveal or illuminate certain things that we don't see when we're in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's not always easy for people to do that because we get so into our world. But sometimes it's good to kind of look at it from an outsider's viewpoint and go, what's the plot in this story? What's happening? What was the plot twist that just happened here? And who just walked on stage? And sometimes I enjoy looking at my life as a movie because it actually really is.
I am, totally.
It really is. Yeah.
And what's great, and that's kind of where I say, write your true story, even if you're preparing for a speech.
Yeah.
When you slow down and you start writing, well, how do I want to say this? Or if you're writing a memoir, I have a couple of people that started off writing a memoir thinking they were writing about one thing.
Yeah.
Then when they started looking at their lives, not just like, okay, I'm the writer, but then started looking, okay, I'm the reader.
Yeah.
And then they go, whoa. One guy said he literally feels like he now had a happy childhood, but he had no idea that that's where this was going to take him, on this journey. And even when we're writing, to do speeches specifically, if I do programs or presentations.
Yeah.
And I slow that down just a little bit. I feel like as we slow down just a little, we get to be that observer in many ways.
Can I show you something funny?
Yeah.
Because you just mentioned childhood.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think of this until just I heard that word childhood come out of your mouth. Adults are just kids with long, hairy legs. Okay. So for me, I'm 6'4" and about 215 pounds. I'm a very big man, but I'm a kid at heart. And the older I get, the more I understand that actually the things that we learned as children are actually kind of what we needed, which is an old Robert Fulghum book, everything I needed to know I learned. So watch, for the viewers, I'm not going to strip naked, but I want you to watch this.
Okay.
I'm here in a shirt. I'm going to unbutton my shirt, and I'm going to show you the t-shirt I'm wearing, which I didn't even think of until you just said childhood.
Oh, the Little Prince. That's awesome.
So I love the story, The Little Prince, but I love it so much that I actually have socks and I have a t-shirt that's The Little Prince. And I think it's ironic that I'm paid all this money to go speak around the world at business conferences, and I'm wearing a friggin' Little Prince t-shirt, so.
Yeah, I love it. I always say we have to keep childlike, right? Have the childlike heart.
Of course.
And then we learn. Kids love learning through story. I say we're teenagers with more numbers. That's I think every adult is still a teenager.
Yeah.
More numbers, trying to figure it out. So let's figure out the internet. So I'm gonna ping you on this.
Yes.
So how has, in your opinion, the internet and social media changed so much in the last 5 years, even 10 years, in terms of vulnerability and transparency with story? Because I feel like, and I'll just say this, is because of the internet, I feel like our bullshit monitors are a little more accurate now, because we can, as opposed to the occasional seeing a presenter, now we're just swamped with so much stuff, but it's pretty obvious who's being real and who's not. Now, I'm not sure about that. You're the expert. Let me know more in terms of business and telling your story on the internet. How does that play out?
I think it actually makes it easier, but I think a lot of people would think that it makes it harder. So let me explain it this way. People tell me I have Kevinisms, right?
Oh,
I have one-liners, right? One of the things that I say all the time is that a communication tool is only as effective as the communication skills of the person with the tool.
Oh, nice.
If you think about that, that makes a lot of sense. If I took my iPhone 7S and I handed it to an orangutan, an orangutan is going to bite it and scratch himself with it because that's what orangutans do. He has no idea what to do with this thing, right? It doesn't diminish the value of the phone. It's just that he has no idea what to do with the phone.
Gotcha.
Now, the reason I'm saying that is because now that we have the internet, which let's just call it what it is, it's another communication tool, right? So if a person has good communication skills to begin with, at some level, it doesn't matter if it's two cans in a string, the internet, a piece of paper, a pen, a typewriter, or a telephone, because they will figure out how to use that communication tool to convey their story or their message. So your question is, how does the internet and social media and everything affect all this? Well, I'm a simple guy, so here's my simple answer. If you have pretty good communication and storytelling skills to begin with, it just becomes another incredibly powerful tool in your toolkit. But if you were Attila the Hun before you got on Facebook, now you're just Attila the Hun on Facebook, right? If you were Jeffrey Dahmer before you got on LinkedIn, now you're just Jeffrey Dahmer on LinkedIn. So I think that it's very ironic that people spend so much time trying to figure out the technical side. Like, you drive a car, right, Dawn? Oh, so you must be an expert at transmission repair, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, of course not. You don't know how to fix it. You just put the key, you turn it, you drive the car.
Yes.
But we live in a time right now where a lot of people are thinking, oh, I have to become a Facebook expert, or I have to become a LinkedIn expert. No, you don't. You just need a working knowledge. Double down on storytelling and conversation skills, and just get a basic understanding of how social. So for me, because my message has really been for the last 10 or 20 years, follow your dreams, be authentic and sincere and be heart-centered and love people. And everything's either love or a call for love. For me, it's been even easier to build a tribe, without even trying to, because I'm just using the tool to facilitate the conversation skill. Does that make sense?
It totally does. Totally does. I have a client who's in her 70s, and she had a poetry book that was published Vantage Press in 78, and then we put it on Kindle, and she's working on a little memoir. And she was overwhelmed with this idea of Facebook, and she wanted to know, but she's curious and she's sharp. Right. And so I said, well, just tell some stories on Facebook. You're great at it. You're really, you nailed this. You know how to engage people. And she's a hoot. And so she's like, oh, but I need to know this and this and this and this and this. And I was like, no. I wound up talking to her daughter. She got on, she showed her mom basics, set her all up. So her mom now doesn't have to log in, she just goes on. And all these cute little stories are coming out. Just like you said, she doesn't know what Facebook's all about. She's just being genuine and conversational. And all of a sudden, it's quite sweet to see later in life her whole disposition lighten up because she's connecting. So,
yeah, and age has nothing to do with it.
No, not at all.
She's a spirit of love, just like you and I are. And if that's too woo-woo for your listeners, deal with it. I'm sure it's not too woo-woo, but she's figuring out how to use a communication tool because she already has great communication skills. True. Yeah.
So for people, I just thought of this. So for people who are writers, they tell good stories. This is mostly, but they're learning how to tell better stories, or people who don't really know how to tell a good short story, or they want to brush up on their skills. Would it be just to practice being just simply more genuine, more authentic? I mean, what would be the first, to someone who's scared, who's got an entrepreneur who's nervous about telling their story, maybe for being judged or being a little vulnerable, or they're brushing up on their writing skills? People definitely tell them, oh my God, you tell the best stories. But now they freeze because they're scared of the judgment that might come out of it. Any advice for that?
Yes. Similar to you, I do a lot of executive and life coaching. Mm-hmm. And I tend to go down the rabbit hole very quickly. Mm-hmm. And at least in my mind, I do. I might not necessarily say it to the other person. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say something right now that we could literally talk for hours and hours and hours on, which we don't have. I'm the kind of guy where I want to get to the core of the problem, because if we don't identify that, we could spend a lot of time and get frustrated bouncing around the perimeter without getting to the core. So the reason why that person is nervous about sharing their story is that they have a fundamental innocent misunderstanding. By the way, this is 99% of humanity, but I'm not trying to put myself out there as an enlightened Buddha. They have a fundamental misunderstanding of where their experience of life comes from, which we're not taught really in our society. That person has just a basic understanding of where that feeling of fear is coming from, and it's nothing more than they just haven't questioned their thinking. This ties into Byron Katie, if people are familiar with Byron Katie, and people like Eckhart Tolle, and those kind of people.
Many of this audience will know them. Yes.
Yeah, and those are two of many people that are pointing in a particular direction. And it's really nothing more than just an innocent, they're believing their thinking.
Yes, yes.
When we feel anxious or fearful, typically it's just a very innocent misunderstanding of how the mind works.
Excellent, yes.
And if I were to sit with that entrepreneur that you just talked about, we'd get a cup of coffee or a bottle of tequila or whatever, and we would explore kind of thought and how the mind works. And because once we kind of figure that out, so many other things that we perceive to be as challenges naturally self-correct.
Yes.
But we could dance around it for decades without ever really clearing up that fear of public speaking or fear of being vulnerable or whatever it is, because we're looking in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. We're not looking in the direction of where does our experience of life come from, and it really comes from us either believing or not questioning our thinking.
Yes.
Is that an okay answer?
Yes, love. As you know, it's almost like my daily reminder as well, because I do my 10 minutes of meditation, and you know, I've come up with a nice morning routine that kind of sets the speed for my brain to basically monitor my thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, and I monitor it if I feel like I'm scared, right?
Yeah.
Fear, overwhelm. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? What am I thinking that's causing fear and overwhelm?
Right.
Oh, look at that. I'm believing that I suck. A lot of writers, you know.
Right.
Our inner critic. But I love, you know, that blows people's minds sometimes. Like, what do you mean I'm not supposed to believe my thinking? And, you know, the brain is just what I call the triple M. It's a meaning making machine, right? I just call it the triple M. Oh, look, meanings. I feel weird. That person looked at me funny. You know, I'm late, or I'm not late. I'm early. Maybe I'm too early. I mean, meanings. And so we just go, oh, isn't that funny? Isn't that curious? Also, when being judged, we judge ourselves the most, is what I'm hearing, very much so. And then in the event that someone actually does come out and say, well, you think you have it bad, like on, say with social media, you know, or, you know, oh, I love this one. You spelled your without the apostrophe R-E, you know, because I slip up because of freaking texts and everything, you know, I'm just like, wow. And the kids today, they don't even spell your, it's a you know, you are. And so, and then I think, well, I got to let that go. If I am being judged here by these little things, you know, also there's only like 2 people doing that versus the 200 people that are enjoying it. So I think that layer of not believing your thoughts, when you do it for yourself, you actually just build up a little more resilience to what's going on, and you focus on where the benefit is. So yeah, no, I love that you brought that up. That's a big one.
We start to realize that there really aren't any monsters under the bed.
Yeah. This is true.
But they sure seem real in the moment.
Oh my gosh. So do you want to talk a little bit about the new book at all?
I would if I could. I think I don't think I have enough to really talk about. What I'm thinking about doing, Dawn, is I create daily memes. So I come up with these Kevinisms, and I have thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of quotes and one-liners that are all on a monstrous Word document in my computer. So every morning for years, I've taken one of my quotes, and some of them are insightful, and some of them are funny, and some of them are irreverent. And it's just whatever hits me in the morning. And I create a meme, I get a picture, I put it in the background, I took one of my quotes, and I put my little logo in the corner. And I post it every day on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatever. So I've been thinking about taking some of those quotes and put on one side of a page, put the quote, and then on the other side, maybe take 2 or 3 paragraphs and just expand on it. Wow. So not really necessarily a novel or anything like that, but more of what I would call a bathroom book, something you could probably read in 3 good sits.
That's
you know?
awesome. Or if you open up to it. I love those because you can just grab it when you need, I need a Kevinism, like, because your energy is awesome. And just pick it up and look at it. You know what I mean? Like as a message. I love this idea. I think.
So I have literally thousands of these already created. It's just a matter of me picking out a bunch of them, putting them in a book, and then writing maybe a paragraph or 2 or 3 paragraphs for each one, which would not be hard. Just expand on the theme. Yes. And so that's what I think I'm going to crank that out at some point here in the beginning of 2018.
We will keep our eyes open.
Thanks.
And your other book is still awesome. Social Triggers. Is that not
social media sales revolution?
Social media sales revolution, the new rules for finding customers, building relationships, and closing more sales. I still love that book. So
thank you. Thank you.
That one.
Can I have 60 more seconds?
Of course.
I got an email the other day out of the blue, because the publisher of that book is McGraw-Hill. Mm-hmm. Let me go back a step, because this answers a question you asked earlier. Mm. The way that I got my book deal with McGraw-Hill, 2011, my phone rings. Hello, this is Kevin. How may I serve you? Kevin, my name is Stephanie Frerick. I'm an assistant editor at McGraw-Hill in New York City. We've been reading your LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter wall for 6 months. We've been reading your newsletter. You've already been thoroughly vetted. The reason I'm calling you is to see if you would accept a $5,000 advance to write a 200-page book on how to use social media and sales. Now, I thought I was being punked, but I wasn't. how that ties into what you asked earlier is that that's physical proof of what you asked me earlier, me showing up in the world authentically, not knowing who's reading it, where, and then 6 months later, I get a call saying, will you take $5,000 to write a book as an advance? So me showing up authentic created the tribe.
Yes, yes.
So where that story was going is recently I got an email from a woman in Italy, and she said, Kevin, my name is so-and-so. I'm in an MBA marketing program in an Italian university in Milan, Italy. We're using your book in our class as a textbook. Do you have any speaking engagements coming up in Italy? Because we'd love for you to come in and do a guest lecture. I didn't even know. So I'm like, how's she reading my book in Italy? Yeah. So I go and I go on Amazon. Well, my knowledge at all, McGraw-Hill actually translated my book into Italian. Why Italian? I have no idea. And then I got another email about a week after that from a woman in South Africa saying, we're using your book in our marketing program at this university, and we're wondering if you have any interest in speaking in South Africa. So what was your question?
You're awesome. You were talking about, you were talking about how even now, because I said I love the book. The book stands.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I got taken to Italy and South Africa. So yeah.
Well, you should come with me. We'll go do a double tag team on stage combo, and I'll do a half day, you'll do a half day, and then we'll all go out and drink wine.
That sounds awesome. Italy. My grandparents are from Naples, so that works out.
Oh, nice.
No, but I love that you mentioned it actually, because you never know where it's going to land.
No.
You never know where your being authentic story is going to land, what it's going to land you.
Yep.
And that it does stand the test of time, that the human condition, that lots of what we do isn't just going to go away. It's out there, and it brings more and more and more, and you just never know from where. And I think that's where writers and presenters that are just starting out can relax a little, and just enjoy the process, which is very cliche and very true.
That's why it's a cliche. Yeah.
It's
in a more and more interconnected, over-caffeinated, hyper-competitive Mach 5 with your receding hairline on fire, crackberry, blackberry world, yes, I said that before, you never quite know where your next lead, prospect, client, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, book deal, you never know. So pay it forward, show up sincere and authentic, let the chips fall wherever they fall. That's why we're here, to just show up and deliver our value. Don't worry about what people think about it so much. They'll forget about it 5 seconds later anyway, So it really, when we help people relax into who they really are, success is 5 minutes. You've heard the expression before, the opportunity of a lifetime. I truly believe that the opportunity of a lifetime shows up about every 5 minutes.
Wow.
If you really show up sincere and authentic and heart-centered. But you could try to spend a lot of time trying to figure out very clever ninja marketing strategies, which, by the way, are all based on deception. Or just show up sincere and authentic and say, look, here's my value. Take it for what it is. If you don't like it, I guess I'm not your guy.
Right.
I love you either way.
Yes.
You're a mosquito in a nudist colony of opportunity.
Oh my God, on that note, I'm going to say you just made my day with an awesome interview that I am just so excited about. And
that was fun. Thank you.
So much fun. Such a pleasure. And I just can't wait to do it again sometime.
Thanks, Dawn. It's so nice speaking with you. And next time I'm in Portland, I'm going to go find you, and we're going to go find some good wine, and we're going to sit and hang around and have a great time.
I love that idea. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Dawn. Bye-bye.
Bye.